Hey, what's up guys? My name is Corinne. I am the owner and the photographer of Wonderland Boudoir located in Dallas, Texas. And today I want to speak to you guys about these 7 questions that you should ask your boudoir photographer. Question number 1, do you have like a guide? Yes, most photographers are going to have a guide of how their session flows and what to expect. At Wonderland Boudoir, we definitely have that guide. It has like 10 pages long, but it tells you what to wear, the do's and don'ts, how to prep for your session, some styling ideas as you know what to bring, not only lingerie, but robes and accessories and different things of that nature. So we go into detail about not only what to bring, but what to expect from your boudoir session. So most boudoir photographers are going to have that, but if you book a session with a boudoir photographer who doesn't have a guide, hit me up. I will be more than happy to email you a copy of our particular guide so you know how to be prepared for your boudoir session. Question number 2, what do I wear to my boudoir session? Now, this answer can be very subjective because there's different elements that go into the styling for your boudoir session. For example, you have to take the photographer that you're shooting with into consideration. Do they shoot mostly light and bright and happy-go-lucky, or are they more moody in nature? And are you going to be shooting inside or are you going to be shooting outside? So here are some of my quick suggestions. If your boudoir photographer has, their style is light, bright, you know, very smiley and all that good stuff, I suggest wearing light to pastel colors. Those are really going to pop against what you're going to do. And you can also do your makeup, you know, in that particular nature as well. If your boudoir photographer shoots more moody and very dark, I suggest sticking to very structured pieces. Don't get anything too lacy because it might not match the aesthetic of that photographer. However, I do suggest that you study that photographer's work and see what type of pieces their past clients have shot in. But I typically would stick to very structured pieces and more on the dark to jewel tone colors. If you don't want to wear black, definitely like a deep forest green and a very burnt purple would be absolutely perfect for really moody shots too. If you're shooting outside, especially if you're doing like a maternity session, it's typically going to be very light and bright. And even if it's dark and moody, what you want to do is make sure you're wearing very flowy pieces that, you know, kind of hug your body, but still give your bump all the attention. So make sure you wear very light and flowy pieces, but if you're going for something sexy, you can wear something really tight, but typically flowy just translates a lot better in photography because it's super feminine, super lovely, and it draws a lot of passion and emotional aspect that you're going to want out of your photos. Tip number 3, do you provide hair and makeup? This is an excellent question that you should ask your boudoir photographer. Typically, boudoir photographers do have a hair and makeup team and they might contract that person out. And I highly suggest you going with the person that they work with because they know their setting, they know their lighting, they know the shoot style of that particular photographer, and that photographer is not going to worry about what your makeup looks like when you arrive. And if something's awry or if they want to change a little bit of the makeup, your photographer will be right there with your makeup artist and hairstylist to get that done. So it's very important that you find out if the photographer provides hair and makeup. This is also going to help you in your planning process so you know how to manage your day prior to getting to your boudoir session on time. Question number 4, can you break down exactly what's going to happen that day? This is a question that you definitely should ask your boudoir photographer, and your boudoir photographer should be able to answer it without hesitation. And don't be shy to ask this particular question because you're paying a lot of money for your boudoir session. So you're going to want to know from start to finish what to expect when you walk in through that door, and you're going to also want to know what to expect after you leave. How long is it going to be before you see your photos? What is the buying process? Make sure you understand the whole process before you book your session. Tip number 5, and it kind of goes into tip number 4. How long does it take to get my photos back? Every photographer is going to be different. Some photographers do same day viewing, and other photographers say, hey, can you wait a week or two so I can get all your photos done and you can pick your final products, right? So it really depends on your photographer, but make sure you get that answer straight up. And that's really important because if you are cutting it really close to time, say for example, you're getting married in a month and you want to do a boudoir session, that's cutting it real close. So make it extremely clear to your photographer that you're on a timeline if you're on one, and to make sure that the photographer knows this so they can accelerate getting your photos back to you. Because I know for myself that it can take up to 6 or 7 weeks sometimes to get photos back, and that's because if you order like one of my higher end packages, everything's made in Italy. So I can't force them to finish anything faster in Italy because it is literally handmade, which is why it's, you know, one of my more expensive packages. So make sure you understand the timeline of when you're going to get your photos back, and if you need them back sooner, make sure you communicate that with your photographer so you're not disappointed if you don't get your photos back in time, or perhaps you can book a photographer who can get your photos back sooner. Tip number 6. Now this is a very important one, and make sure you ask this as well. Will my photos be published online, or will anyone else be able to see them? A lot of photographers do like to use the photos that they shoot of you for marketing, for their social, for their website. I, at Wonderland Boudoir, ask my clients to sign a model release before I share their photos. And if you don't sign that model release, I typically won't share the photos, or I won't show any face in the photos if I like it. So make sure you ask that question before you book your session, and also make sure that you sign a model release. And sometimes those model releases aren't separate from the contract. Sometimes they're inside of the contract. So make sure that you read your boudoir contract very carefully. Question number 7, how long do you keep the photos? This is an excellent question to ask. There are some photographers who will keep your photos up to like 3 years, and there's other photographers who will only keep your photos up to 3 days after you've received it. So make sure you understand how long they're going to keep it. A lot of photographers, especially if they're photographers who work a lot, they don't have a lot of space to keep your photos there. So after you make your purchase, they delete it. So if you're still going back and forth about a photo that you like or not, go ahead and just get it, because chances are that photographer is going to delete that photo and you won't have the ability to go purchase it again if they have a time limit. Me, at Wonderland Boudoir, I delete the photos the day after you receive them in hand because I personally shoot a lot. So make sure you understand what happens, how long it takes to get your photos back, and what happens to the photos afterwards. Alright guys, so I hope those 7 questions you should ask your boudoir photographer helped you. If you have any more questions, please put them down in the comment section below. And if you want to see the full blog post, please check out the description bar. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. There's a little bell there so you can ring my bell. Ring my bell. Okay, please. I can't sing Let Me Live. Alright, and make sure you follow me on all social. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Wonderland Boudoir. And yes, I'm also the photographer at the Urban Jungle. So definitely check me out there. Thanks you guys, and you have a great day. Bye!